and welcome back to my channel for this Monday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. And today I want to talk about special interests, or one of my special interests that has been going on for a few years now, but I've kind of stopped and started on the topic, which is going to be my family history, my ancestry. So basically a few years ago I got into a discussion with my dad's side of the family, and they kind of weren't sure about the family history. They kind of had little bits of knowledge but not much. So recently, during the time where my granddad's house, they were having a kind of declutter at my late grandfather's house, and my dad came across some family history documents. As he knows, for the last 4 to 5 months I've been on the family history search online, and I've managed to find quite a few pieces of information. So this is the folder that I've made up. As you can see, it has Grace family history written on it, and that picture is of a Sunderland flying boat that my late grandfather and my late grandmother would have worked on. So yeah, I want to delve into my family history and talk to you about the reasons why I've decided to get back into the family history. So one, it's something that I've been on and off for a number of years. I have mentioned it here on the channel before, that I was starting my family history research and kind of came across a stumbling block. But then I kind of went behind the scenes to my father and decided to talk to him more about how to get back into it and to get hold of any information for me that he could get his hands on or that he knew of. And over the years I've managed to get little bits and pieces. Again, I've hit a stumbling block and kind of just left it alone. And then recently I was having a talk with my dad during the situation with losing my grandfather, and I was like, look, I really want to get myself back into something positive and find out where our ancestors came from, find out where we come from, find out where our lineage comes from, and, you know, where in the world potentially our ancestors were. So I've managed now to get the family research from my dad's late cousin, who is sadly no longer here. He left a bit of information behind for my grandfather, which has now been passed down to me. So I've now got the mentioned envelope, which I won't show you because it has confidential details on, and I don't want to potentially dox my other ancestors who may still be alive. So I'm not going to show you that, but I do have a bunch of information inside that big envelope. And yeah, I'm really excited about talking about my family history because it's something I feel in my granddad's legacy that I should continue doing, and to tell the story of my family for the next generations and generations and generations to come that follow the line. And obviously, you know, I am getting older now. I'm in my mid-30s. So, you know, it's important to gain and give as much information of my family history as I can. I have so far got 40 odd pages printed out, and I have just screenshotted potentially another 22 pages more of information that I need to print out to add to this whopper of a folder that I've already been starting for the last 4.5 months. And it's been really interesting, you know, finding out where my late grandfather, his dad, his mum, which would be my great grandparents. So it's nice to find out where they've come from, their backgrounds, what they did for jobs, etc., how many children they had, etc. So I'm learning more about my lineage and what they did in the past and how they lived in the past. And it's interesting to me how different we were, how different we are. And for somebody with autism, a lot of us, once we get fixated on a special interest or in depth on a special interest that we become very, very passionate about, we want to find out everything that there is to absolutely know about each person or each particular subject. And for me, it's exactly the same. Once I get myself hooked on a special interest, I practically get my head down into knowledge, into books, into online library searches, onto family history sites, and I've actually been able to find quite a lot of free content, free pieces of information that I never knew, as well as now the extra pieces that I have got. And I am going to have to be very, very careful with the pieces of information that I have got, because they do have names and dates of birth on in particular places. So when I talk about them, I probably will not mention the places, obviously because of privacy reasons and to protect my family, but there is a lot of information that I am going through right now. There is a lot of information I am still trying to figure my head around and to process where my family come from and what jobs they did, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got all the matching census records and anything like birth records or job records that I can get hold of. I managed to get hold of a few so far that I've managed to search for, and it is really, it is time consuming, and it is something that you are going to have a lot of time for and to put aside if you're ready to go on that kind of job searching, that kind of family history searching, because it is something that you need to have a lot of detail for. You need to be able to have backdated details if you can possibly have them. If not, it doesn't really matter because you can find most stuff out online. But for me, as an autistic person, I'm really fascinated with this. It's something that I'm really proud to do. I'm really passionate about it. I'm really excited to find out where my roots come from, where my backstory, the Grace family line comes from, and what they've done over the past years, over the past decades, and where my Grace side of the family now comes from, and to, find out that I've got some military people in my line, which hasn't surprised me because I was told that there was some military service done on my late grandfather's side and on his dad's side, which is my great-grandfather. So I know that there's military background in my family already. My grandmother worked in the forces as well. That's where they met. So I already know that I've got military in my family, which is why I am passionate about the military and the services, because obviously that's something that's been brought up in my background. And, I'm just proud to be a veteran's granddaughter. I'm proud that I've been able to take this legacy on and continue it. I'm really proud that I've been able to bring my dad's side story to life and be part of it and have the evidence to look back on for many, many decades upon decades upon decades to come, knowing that I've got my family story, that it's not going to be forgotten, that the Grace line won't end. It'll be something that for future generations, for my sister, for her upcoming twins, for my nephew, for anyone else that carries on the Grace line, they are going to have their story for decades and decades and decades to come. And I really, really am enjoying the family history search. It's something that I'm really good at logic and facts and statistics and order. So for me, it's been something that's kept my brain ticking over. It's something that I'm really enjoying. I love finding out facts. I love writing things down. I've got my notepad over there, which has got pages upon pages upon pages of information I need to give to my family. And it's something that I would really suggest people to do, to really get into, because family history is so vitally important to tell your story and see what your ancestors done back in the day. And I would really suggest you start now getting into it, because over the last few years I've had the pleasure and honour to be able to ask little questions to my grandfather and hearing him talk about things back in the day. I'm really pleased that I was able to continue this legacy and actually search for the answers. And now that I have this information from my dad's late cousin Roger, who was the family, historian, you want to call him, the family expert on our family history. He was one who sent the multiple documents to my grandfather, as well as potential other members of my family. It's something that you do need a lot of time for. There is going to be a lot of websites. One thing I would say as well is be very, 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 very careful what sites you use. Please make sure you are using legit family history sites, things that have verified links, things that aren't going to ask you to pay money necessarily, because there is a lot of free sites you can use. But again, there is some paid sites you will need to pay for a subscription to gain access to the records of your family members. But be very, very careful that you are not being scammed or asked for multiple duplicates of money. Make sure that you, if you can, have someone sit with you and go through it, because it is very, very overwhelming going on to all these sites and looking up the records and checking the names, checking the dates. Make sure you do have someone in your background who knows what you're searching for, and be very careful what sites you agree to go on, because some of the sites that I've even been looking on, luckily, have all been legit. But some of these sites are very, very dangerous, and they say, oh, click here to have a free preview. Oh, click here, but enter your credit card details. Click here, enter your debit card details. No, and hell no. Be very careful what sites you look on for these kind of things. There is a lot of good sites out there that you can use, like newspaper websites, the National Archives, the Military Forces website. There is a lot of local libraries that have access to the family history sites because they have a free access, so they can print out things for you and log on to print records out, or at least send the transcripts to you, because a lot of family history sites don't automatically have the actual printouts available. They will only have the transcripts of the entry, so you will have to go to the local library or to the local family history centre or the local history centre in your area to get access to the records. So again, be very careful with the locations that you're going to, and if you need to take someone with you, I will be taking my dad with me when I actually get to the stage that I'm ready to go to meet a professional about it. But the bits and pieces that I've got at the moment are pretty standard, just like marriage entries and birth entries, and things like where they were born, and kind of where they were at such a time, and but I would really strongly encourage you guys, if you are passionate about your family history or you are not knowing where to look, I will link some websites down below for you guys to use if you wish to start your family history search. It is something that I really am enjoying. I'm really finding out things about my family I didn't know. It's something that I would really, really, write down a lot of facts, your timeline. If you have got photos, it might help. But, I hope this video will help someone. Please click the like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye!